Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of After the Buzzer Sportscast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I got my man Marvin on. What's up, Marv?
What's going on, Lee? How are we?
Yeah. Man, everything is good. Everything's good. Great day in sports today. We had the NFL draft this past weekend. Hey, first and foremost, man, that Mavericks Clipper game, real quick. That's what a game down the stretch. Mavs coming back from 31 points. I know we're going to dive into that in just a minute, but man, it has your heart beating fast. Philly couldn't do it. The Knicks, Jalen Brunson stole their heart. Just crazy NBA playoffs. We got a lot of great topics for you today. We're going to recap the NBA playoffs, get your thoughts on what's going on with that. We're going to talk about the NFL draft and what's happening and what happened this weekend. And what did your favorite team do? We want you guys to comment on that. We're going to talk about Colorado. I know this is one of Mars' favorite topics to talk about. The Colorado Buffaloes and the transfer portal and what's going on with Dion and the crew out in Colorado. We're going to talk about the new rules changes that's going on in college football to get you guys set for the upcoming college season. I'm going to go back to Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. They start May 14th. The new season kicks off. I have a question for you, Marv. What impact will Caitlin Clark have on the WNBA and maybe up in their profile as a league? And then we're going to close it with jumping back into the NBA. Lakers, Suns, Warriors. What do they do next? As the Lakers and the Suns are on the verge of being eliminated. So hey, we got a lot of hot topics for everybody today, Marv. Let's jump right into it, man. Let's go with today's action. Philly, New York, great game. What are your thoughts on it? Philly comes back, takes a 3-1 lead. What are your thoughts about the game? And it always seemed to me that Philly had the better talent. They're just not playing like it. So why do you think that is, Marv?
I think Embiid's injury is a big deal, right? Happy birthday! Somebody got a birthday. Who is it?
Miss King, whose birthday is it? Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Is it
Yeah. It's my mother. My mother just had a birthday, so
Mrs.
we got to
Norman,
give a shout out
happy
to
birthday!
Miss Norman.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday!
from the show!
There
Absolutely.
you go. Um,
Happy birthday!
but but
Happy birthday!
but Embiid's injury is just very telling. He doesn't demand the ball like he typically does. Their offense runs through him, but he's just so limited right now. So, and you can see it. He's laboring. I do have a lot of respect for him, though. I mean, he's battling, he's playing, he's come back, and he's done some things that we probably thought that he couldn't do. So, I got to give respect to Joel, especially in the age of the softness in the NBA and managing minutes and all those things. He's came back and he's battled. So, a lot of respect for him for that. But Jalen Brunson, I mean, he's the answer. He's the key. 47. The rest of the Knicks have 50, I think, combined. He controls the game. I think he has taken the mantle of controlling the pace of games. LeBron used to be the master at controlling the pace and making you play how he wanted you to play. I think Brunson has taken that over. DiVincenzo made some big shots, a lot of role players, and Tibbs got them playing well. He got them playing really good defense. I think they're the second best team in the East. So I like what I see, but Philly's just limited, without Embiid and his ability to make shots and to kind of change the game the way that he does. I think the inevitable is about to take place with the Knicks advancing. Go ahead, Lee. I know you wanted to add to that.
Well, I like, to your point about Embiid's injury, it takes him out of the flow defensively. I mean, defensively, he's just a non-factor. He's laboring. For Philly, Tobias Harris, come on, man. We give you all this money. You've been making all this money, and year after year after year, to quote a friend of ours, Bubba Dub, trash. That's all he is. He's just trash. I don't get what's going on with him. It's time for Philly to move on from him because this guy is just stinking up the place. And it's just, to me, when you look at Brunson, Marv, the pace of the game is always his, right? He runs the show. The game is at his speed, at his pace. He makes shots according to how he wants to get it. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch coming from a guy that's, 5'11", 6 feet tall. He's running that show. It's a beautiful, beautiful masterpiece. He's pitching. And for all of those that said, Marv, that he couldn't do it, right? He couldn't lead a team. And then granted, this is the first round, but you're seeing this man is an alpha dog, and he should be first team All NBA by the way he's played this year.
No doubt about it. And like being a former point guard, what I love about his game so much is that yeah, guys who have a lot of speed and are quick always can give you issues, but the people who give point guards more issues are the Chris Paul, Brunson types that really play at a herky jerky pace. You can never really pinpoint what speed they're going at, and that's the hardest type of player to defend, especially when they can shoot it and drive it and do so many things, and the facets of their game are so defined. Like those are the hardest guys to defend. So watching Brunson, I love it because he's a quintessential point guard in the way that he handles the ball, the way that the pace that he plays at, and he's in control. Everybody on the Knicks knows that it's his squad. He's in control of the basketball game. And typically you don't see him make a lot of mistakes. And that's crucial, especially when getting to playoff time. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes with the basketball. So they're in good hands. I think it'll ultimately come down to the Knicks in Boston, but I love to watch Brunson. The Knicks look pretty good right now.
Phil, you never know who's going to be the third scorer for Philly. You just don't. You just don't know. You don't know. They don't have it really. And it's shameful because of all the injuries that Embiid has had year after year after year. He's gutting it out this year, Marv. And it's shameful that they can't come up with someone else to get them over the hump. So I do think that series, the Knicks are going to win it, maybe in 5. The next game might be it. For Philly, but it's a great series. I want to, and again, guys, you were on with After the Buzzer Sports Podcast on ISF Production. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. Tell a friend about us and join on. We definitely want to hear your comments about the NBA playoffs and what's going on. Marv, let's go to the second game of the day: the Mavs and the Clippers. Great game. I mean, hey, LA just came out like gangbusters, up 31. And then, hey, that man, Kyrie Irving, I say it all the time, Kyrie's a beast. Literally brought him back, but in the end, no defense, and the Clippers pull it out. What are your thoughts as the series is tied up now 2 games to 2 games?
Please, everybody remember now, this is Lee's pick. The
Absolutely.
Dallas Mavericks. That's his dark horse. It was the champion, right? NBA champion, or making it to the final.
I said go to the finals. I said go to the finals.
Okay. So keep that in mind as he talks about at Dallas and the way he tries to sway this conversation, because he a master at moving the goalposts. So what I saw was a team that has no ability to stop anybody on both sides. Like if you watch the game, and I know people like the surface of the game. I like to watch a little bit more in depth because I played and I see it a little bit differently sometimes. But it was an atrocious level of basketball on the defensive end to me. Yes, you have guys that can make shots, but when you get to the professional ranks, man, a lot of people can make shots, And but watching Kyrie and Luka die on ball screens and didn't want any part of James or Paul George coming off those screens. Like in the playoff time, you're supposed to want those matchups. And I just saw them continuously run away from it. Couldn't get any stops down the stretch, and the Clippers are no better. I don't know what Westbrook is doing. It's really shameful to watch where his career is starting to go. He doesn't even look to shoot threes anymore. I know he was never a great shooter, but still, I mean, you got to be a threat in some kind of way on the floor. Kawhi, I think we're seeing the demise of Kawhi. There's more going on with him in these injuries than that's being led on. So, and Paul George is just somebody that you can't trust. It's always been the talent is out of this world, but it's so sporadic. And you can't be a superstar if your talent is some timing, right? Like AD and all the other guys that we talk about, you just can't trust them. So and to that point, you're up 31 in a playoff game on the road, and it never should have gotten to the point that it got to. And that just talks to the lack of leadership on this team, the lack of defense, the lack of ability to close people out. So I think you're watching 2 teams that may be fun to watch if you're just watching basketball game from just let me turn on the TV and watch people go up and down the floor and shoot it. But you're watching 2 teams that won't sniff an NBA championship. I can guarantee you that, because Minnesota will absolutely annihilate either one of these 2 teams. Denver will too. And I'm going to go as far as to say OKC will as well. Because if you watch OKC, the one thing that they do, they defend their asses off. So I don't think these 2 teams will sniff a championship. But, if you like basketball, I guess it's entertaining to watch. But I couldn't stand it. I thought it sucked.
See, there we go. Well, a couple things. First of all, recycle me. Thank you for commenting. Clippers are a team of non-defenders. I agree with that. Ray Blackwell, Bronson is a great point guard. Bronson did do a great job. Also, he said Harden killed the Mavericks. He did. Harden did down the stretch. To your point, Marv, I give you credit for that. I don't know why P.J. Washington was switched onto Harden. I mean, he just let him blow by him every time. It was kind of embarrassing to see it. Dallas is a better team defensively than they played today. I don't know what it was going down the stretch, why they wanted to switch PJ on him. I think they should have substituted and brought the Green Boy in to let him play if they wanted somebody just to match up against Harden down the stretch. But 2-2 now, and I stand by my comment. I still think that the Mavs can make it to the Western Conference Final and represent the West in the finals. They have what nobody else has in the playoffs other than Denver. They have two assassins on their team that at any time they can bring you back. So they played lackluster to begin the game, but you saw what they could do as the game progressed. I just think that down the stretch, their defensive philosophy, intensity was off, was very, very off. But as I said, as long as they have Luka and Kyrie, they're going to be in every game against whoever they play. So they just have to now go back to LA and get one and win the series. So Miss Norma Orange, what about the Bucks and the Indiana series? We're going to get to that. Might as well. Let's jump right into that right now. Thank you, Miss Orange. Let's jump into the Milwaukee Indiana series. Very disappointing. The news came out today that I don't believe that Giannis is going to play or Dame Lillard. And even when Dame played, they got beat. Marvin, let me ask you this. The experiment of firing Adrian Griffin and bringing him in and replacing him with Doc Rivers, it's been a colossal failure. Now, what do the Bucks do if and when they lose this series going into next year? Because I'll say this. I don't really think Damian Lillard really wants to be in Milwaukee. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, this is the only year you'll see Damian Lillard in Milwaukee. It's not a good fit. Philosophy wise, with the way that he plays, with the way that Giannis plays, it's just not a good fit. So, I understand what they were trying to do. They needed somebody that could take a little pressure off of Giannis, but to me, they had the recipe early in the season with Adrian Griffin as coach. I mean, maybe they didn't like the way that he coached them, and there was some internal strife that was going on, but the results were still there. They were second best in the East at the time. And then, unexplainably, they fire their coach because of whatever, and they bring in the guy who was probably the most underachieving coach in NBA history. Well, maybe not one of the most underachieving coaches. So I don't understand what the philosophy was, but with Lillard being out, Giannis being out, they don't stand a chance. Indiana's young. They one thing Indiana can do is score the basketball.
Yeah.
And Chris Middleton is a shell of what he was. I still think he's not 100%. So your two best players that you really going to lean on is Middleton and probably Bobby Portis, with Lopez, maybe jacking some threes and doing what he does. So it's not looking good for Milwaukee, which I think is apropos to kind of what they did in this season. They tanked their own season when they did what they did, and I think that this is karma. Kind of this is what happened. So. I like Indiana, and I like some of these young teams, to be honest, Lee. Like, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting real frustrated with basketball. I like some of these young teams, the OKCs, the Indianas, the Minnesota. Some of the old veterans, I'm liking to see them phasing out of it, because I think that they've kind of taken the game back a little bit, because it's always been about the name, but it's really not been about the product here recently. The product has sucked from a lot of these veterans, from Kevin Durant to Bradley Beal to LeBron. Like, I'll give LeBron a pass because he's 39 years old, but still the product has sucked. But if you watch OKC and if you watch Minnesota and you watch some of these younger teams play, they defend, they play their roles, and it's a fun brand of basketball to watch. So I'm happy about kind of what I'm seeing and the shift a little bit. But yeah, Milwaukee's done. Put a stick of fork in them. They over.
Yeah. Yeah, Recycle Me said, Marv, you were right the first time. Doc Rivers, he's hanging on one chip. Come on, Recycle. But let's wait a minute. Hold up now.
And Recycle Me said the Bucks suck, and he's right.
The man won a championship, and he went to another. Let's not kill Doc Rivers. I just don't think that when they made the trades, they because Dame Lillard and everybody's commenting, and Marv, you commented, everybody's giving Damian Lillard a free pass. You're giving him a pass. He hasn't done anything while in Milwaukee of substance. Nothing. He hasn't done anything of substance. So everybody thought Dame time. He's coming, pairing with Giannis. The two could do everything. It goes to show you that what we think about the NBA, the old NBA, when you could have two stars, Malone and Stockton, Jordan and Pippen, when you could have two stars and win championship, it's over. You need 3 and 4 stars now. And I'm sorry. It's just as much Dame Lillard's fault as it is Doc Rivers' fault, in my estimation. The trading the boy, when they let what's his name, Marv, the point guard that's in Boston now,
Drew Holiday.
When they let Holiday go, they took their defensive intensity away. Milwaukee did, and it shows every time they play now. They have none. And so that's the issue. And I don't think Doc Rivers would have ever been accused of being this great defensive strategist anyway. And so it's a colossal failure. It is. And so I look for them to tear that team up, and move some pieces around. Middleton is gone. You're right about that. But you got Lopez, Bobby Portis. You got to ship some of these guys out and get more defense back, because it's a struggle. It's a struggle to watch them. I want to catch up on a few things. Recycle me. Doc has had a bunch of pre-championship made teams and didn't do anything. Robert Agee, Marv, you're right about the young teams. Yeah, because the young teams, OKC is fun to watch. SGA is phenomenal. And then Anthony Edwards, I think right now Ja didn't play this year, so I'm going to put a caveat on this, but Anthony Edwards might be the best and most exciting player in the entire league. Again, let's put an asterisk by it, because Ja Morant, remember what he was before we didn't see him this year. But Anthony Edwards is doing his thing.
Don't get caught up in that, Lee. You're getting caught up in the offensive side of things. Watch Anthony Edwards play. That dude is a difference maker on both ends of the floor. And remember, everybody that's listening right now and we talk to, don't get caught up in the flash of offense. Don't let Lee talk you into how pretty Luka's game is and how great of a finisher Kyrie is and all of these things. Don't get caught up in that, because the game is still real simple. You need real good glue guys. Glue guys win you championships, not flash. And defense wins you championships. Denver won a championship last year because they were really, really good defensively, and they had 2 glue guys that were really, really good in Gordon and KCP. And the same thing is going to happen with Minnesota with some of their glue guys. Those are the things that are still important. And I'm not going to let us get off this subject until we start talking about Phoenix, because Phoenix was your other team. I remember. I remember in the back of my head how you talked about Phoenix being going to be a problem because Devin Booker's going to run the point. And so let's go. Explain yourself.
Let's stay right there. Let's go to Phoenix, Marv. Now, look. I'll be the first one to say a total disappointment. But the way they constructed the team, there's no defense on the team whatsoever. Now, I was under the assumption that you would have Bradley Beal and KD and Booker all play together and mesh. That just didn't happen this year. I was big on the Suns. I must say that. It didn't happen, but they play absolutely no defense whatsoever. And, Marv, they need a point guard. It's
now, I remember you telling me that they didn't need one because they can score so well. They don't need a point. I remember you telling Cassius, I'm going to need you to find that footage someday and put it back up where he said they didn't need a point guard.
My word. I stick to my word. I said it. I was wrong. Because when I look at Phoenix, it's all one-on-one basketball. They get to the under 6 seconds in the clock, and either Booker or Bill or KD shoots the ball. That's not winning basketball. So I'm very disappointed in the Suns. They're down 3-love. I think they're going to get swept, and they're going to lose this next game. And so it's very, very disappointing. And the question becomes, what happens now, Marv? But tell me what you see with the Phoenix Suns right now, Marv.
It's what I thought it would be. It's 3 guys whose games pattern each other. They all need the ball to be effective, and it's you take a shot, I take a shot, the next guy takes a shot. There's no consistency, there's no fluidity to their offense. And listen, I know the game has changed a lot, but point guards are still very, very important in one sense. Point guards dictate how offenses run and where guys like to get shots, right? So some of your best point guards allow players to be effective because they get the balls in the spots that make them effective, right? And when you got guys who've never played point guard before, it's a really hard position to learn on the fly, and especially on that level, right? It's hard enough to do in high school or in college. You're talking about NBA and you got Devin Booker that you tried to move to the point, who's used to getting up 20, 25 shots a game and shooting at will, but now you're trying to run sets for other guys to get them off too. It doesn't work. So, I always have been against teams who get guys that games pattern each other. I think it's always a recipe for
Yeah,
failure. And in this
tough.
instance,
Tough.
it's been. And to your point, Lee, you made a point. Defensively, they're terrible. And also they have no depth. They have their bench is terrible. They don't have any defense, and you got three guys whose games pattern each other. That's just a recipe for failure. I don't care how good of scorers they are. There's only one basketball.
Yeah, Marv, they,
Blow it
they
up.
never should have traded Cameron Payne. They should have kept Payne because at least Payne dictates the flow, gets them into their offense, and can distribute the ball. Everything you said, I agree with. I admit I was wrong on that. The last team and last series we want to touch on before we move on is the Lakers in Denver. The Lakers pulled out one last night. All of the Laker fans, please stand up. You got to win. You've lost.
Mav in LA. Mav in LA. Where you at?
Yeah, but let me say this. Marv. To me, I mean, Denver lost that game as much as LA won it last night. I mean, it's ridiculous how the Lakers just they don't in the clutch. They're not a clutch team. When you look at in the final 5 minutes of the game how they play, AD is the best player on the court. Bar none. I don't care what anybody says as far as the Lakers. AD is the best player. He's probably the second best player behind Joker in the entire series. Why in the world does he go minutes upon minutes in the fourth quarter without touching the ball? It's beyond me. You make the game difficult when AD doesn't touch the ball, and it's a colossal failure. And it's too much of everybody else trying to get theirs and not running that thing through AD. AD is a dominant player. We talked about this, Marv. He's dominant. Take away the injuries, and he played 72 games this year. So AD did his thing. They all are just trying to get theirs. Austin Rivers had a decent game, but him being your third scorer and not being consistent in this series is one of the reasons why I always said they needed to move him, and they didn't want to do it. Should have got Kyrie, like I said, but that's a different story. The Lakers need to just tear this thing up and restart. They're going to lose in Denver. It's going to be 4-1, and then what do? You got an aging LeBron, you got AD, but what else do you have? They have to get someone consistently that can score as their third option, and they just don't have that right now.
Yeah.
Dr. O, let me get Dr. O in here, but Lee, AD is so inconsistent. I don't feel that AD is inconsistent, though. I really don't. AD, and now I'll let you get in, Mark, AD is reliant on people getting him the basketball. And when you take one shot in the fourth quarter, now, that could be that you pass up shots, but they don't get him in position to score. So I hear you, Dr. O, but I certainly think that your point guard, D'Angelo Russell, he's terrible. He's not a point guard. He's a glorified two. And then your main guy, LeBron, you got to get him the ball where he can score. So I disagree with that because I think they're not featuring their best player in AD. Mark, what are your thoughts?
I agree, and Dr. O, I would typically agree with you that AD is inconsistent. This year, he's been good. Yeah, he's played, he's been available, and so he's been good this year. But there's an interesting stat that's out there that we haven't talked about, that the Lakers have led for 136 minutes in this series in 31 seconds. They've led, meaning that they've been in position most of this series to be in control of winning basketball games. So basketball wise, there's two really important quarters: the start of the second and that start of the third, midway to the 10-minute mark of the third quarter. So those are the quarters that you really kind of want to watch for, because that's when you start making substitution patterns and you start to see the flow kind of change a little bit. But after halftime, it's about adjustments and it's about coaching. Darvin Ham has been out coached. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt about it. There's nothing that you can deny about that. And the Lakers have been absolutely mauled in the third quarter. And I think Denver knows exactly what they're doing. They play around with LA for the first two quarters. They let LeBron expend all of his 39-year-old energy, get to the third quarter, and then they press the gas. That's what Denver has done in this whole series with the Lakers, because the Lakers have been in every game. But watch those third quarters and watch what Denver does methodically to LA in the third quarters. And I'm sorry, Father Time is undefeated. I don't know no 39-year-olds that can play against the level of athletes that he plays against on a nightly basis at 25, 27-year-old in their prime and can be effective for a whole basketball. It just does not happen. As great as he is. And then you watch it, Lee, to your point, real quick before we move on. LeBron is still in that mindset that his 39-year-old body can do things that his 25-year-old body can do, and they can't, right?
Yeah.
You see him fade in the fourth quarters, and that is when it becomes important to get AD the ball and to run everything through. AD should get a touch every time down the floor. Everything should run through AD. And if he don't get a good look, then we run something out of it. But he should get a touch every time down the floor. It should not be dictated by your 39-year-old superstar. And I think that's some of the problem that we have. And LeBron just can't finish. He's not a finisher like he used to be. And Denver knows that. And they know that LeBron is still prideful. But you can just watch it happen as you watch the game. Yep. So watch the third quarter of the next game, everybody that's watching, and see if it comes to fruition.
They blitz him in the third, Marv. You're absolutely right. But last point I'll make. We know that LeBron is a great player. You have to get the ball out of his hands. He's not playing defense. He's trying to rest on defense, right? But he also needs to rest sometimes on offense and get easy shots. And Ray Black will always, every time the Lakers lose, he's a big Laker fan. Every time they lose, we start our conversation and he says, AD this, AD that. Well, AD's not touching the ball. AD's not getting the ball. And that's my biggest point. Your best player is AD. And when Laker fans realize that and start to say, AD is the best player on the Lakers and quit saying LeBron, that's when the Lakers' mindset would change. As I said back in the summer, they needed to get a third player to position themselves to play with AD. And have LeBron all do his thing, and then they would set themselves up to be champion. We're going to move on again. You're on with After the Buzzer Sports Podcast on ISF Productions. Please like, subscribe. We're gonna change the tune a little bit. We want to go to this NFL. Your comments, Marvin. It was a big 3-day event. The extravaganza, that's the NFL draft. 3 days, they do it in prime time. Nobody does it better. But Marv, I got to jump in, and I want the audience to give me their opinion on the Atlanta Falcons. And we're going to talk about the top of the draft, but the big thing was about the Atlanta Falcons taking Michael Penix Jr., a proud graduate of the University of Washington. My alma mater. I'll throw that out there. Going to the Atlanta Falcons, number 8 overall pick, after they had just signed Kirk Cousins, gave him a $180 million contract, $100 million guaranteed. Mark, what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that was a good pick? What are your thoughts? What do you think Atlanta's trying to do? And what do you think that sets up Atlanta going forward for the future?
Well, initially when they made the pick, I think I was like everybody else. What the hell are you doing? Right? You just gave Kirk Cousins $100 million, but $100 million guaranteed. But as you kind of let the dust settle a little bit and you really looked at the pick, I don't think that it was a bad pick, right? A lot of people had him as probably one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in this draft. He probably throws the best deep ball in this draft. And Atlanta's mindset was, will we get in this position to ever draft a franchise quarterback within the next few years, right? Like if you're in this position, you got to get a franchise quarterback, especially, in the NFC and kind of where they are. You got to get somebody, right? So Kirk Cousins is coming off an ACL. We don't know, really what he is going to be. So for me, with Bijan Robinson, they drafted the kid from Alabama, Jace McClellan. They got the the tight end still. They got weapons offensively to stay in games, and we all know this is an offensive league now. We love defense, and defense still wins championships, but you got to score points. And we've seen Kurt for 10 years. He got the best agent. He got the best agent game in the NFL. He made more money with mediocre talent like Dak Prescott than anybody I've seen in the league since. So yeah, I had to throw the Dak reference in there, but so I'm not mad at the pick. I think Raheem Morris has a vision on what he wants to do. I like Michael Penix at the only thing that I'm a little concerned with is the age, right? You gave Kirk Cousins that money, $100 million guaranteed. Penix is 24 years old. Are you going to sit him for a couple years and he's going to be your starter at 27? Like how do you now start to manage this? Because the kid is ready to play now. This isn't a Jordan Love situation where he was sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and had a few years. He was 22 when he ended up getting the start. This isn't the same situation. So I'm going to be interested to see how they handle that. But I still think it was a good pick for them. I actually liked it once I kind of delved into it a little bit more.
Yeah, look, I love the pick, and I'm a big Michael Penix Jr. Fan. As far as a thrower of the football, he's the best by far of all of the quarterbacks in the draft. It's not even close when it comes to just pure passing accuracy. Can make all the throws. A lot of people talked about his injuries, but remember, 2 years he hadn't had an injury, right? So his health, his medical checked out. Marv, you made great points. Let me say this about his age, and let me give you my thoughts about it. Michael Penix Jr. is 24 years old. Kirk Cousins has $100 million guaranteed. That's the first 2 years of his contract. The going rate for a starting quarterback now in the NFL is $50 million a year. They can sit Penix for 2 years. That Kirk Cousins earned that $100 million guaranteed, and then they can ship Kirk Cousins out, and it's Penix's show, right? It's Penix's show, and he'll be 26 years old. Think about this. Kirk Cousins is 36 years old right now. He's 36 years old. Penix will be the starter when he's 26. 10 years. I have no problem about his age. I think that's fine. I think he's going to come in and do his thing because you're right, Mark. He is ready to play, but they don't need him to play. Give him some time. Now, and remember this about Kirk Cousins. He's coming off of an Achilles tear. We don't know what he's going to look like coming back. And if he struggles in the least, they have Penix there to step in. So I think what Atlanta did was they set themselves up for the future very, very well. To your point, and it was an excellent point, Atlanta has an offense that can compete with anybody. They did some things in the draft defensively that I like. They got some defensive play. They got pass rush. They got some corners. They got some linebackers to help their defense. And so Atlanta's biggest problem last year in a weak division was that they didn't have quarterback play. And so now they have quarterback play set them up to compete in the NFC South. So I think it was great strategy. And I love the fact that you had Fontenot and Raheem Morris, two African Americans, pulling the trigger in Black Atlanta, and they chose the young black quarterback. That was a beautiful thing to me. I have to be honest. I love that. I mean, I just thought it was great how they set themselves up and then set the city of Atlanta up and the excitement coming in. So I love the pick. I think it was great. I think they set themselves up for seasons and years to come, and I don't see any downside to what they've done. Don't listen to all other so-called experts because, look, when they talk about Michael Penix's age, he'll be 26 when he starts. There's nothing wrong with a quarterback starting at 26. Let me throw a couple of other names at the other quarterbacks. We got Caleb Williams going to the Bears. We got Jayden Daniels going to the Commanders. We got Drake May going to the Patriots. We got J.J. McCarthy going to the Vikings. And we got Bo Nix going to Denver. Marv, tell me which one do you think will have the most success and which one was a reach in your opinion?
Well, reach is easy. Bo Nix. I mean, there's no hesitancy when I say Bo Nix is the reach. I saw him at Auburn. He did better at Oregon because he had an offense that they built around him. But he's a reach, man. Mitchell Trubisky 2.0. That's all I'm gonna say. So I think that Chicago, they put some weapons around Caleb Williams, so it's a good situation for him. But listen, I think the Washington Commanders had a great draft. I think Ray Blackwell said it as well. They got Daniels. They plugged the defensive front. They plugged the secondary. They addressed a lot of needs that they had. And you had another team in that division that also had a great draft. I know you don't want to hear this, but the Philadelphia Eagles had a great draft. Not only did they get the two corners that are really, really, really good, especially the kid out of Toledo, they set themselves up really well for the 2025 draft. So the Eagles, their front office is really good at manipulating this stuff. So I don't know where Dallas is. I saw they draft. I thought they needed a running back. They didn't draft a running back, but I guess Zeke coming back to give them, mediocre production next year. But I thought those two teams had a really good draft. I think the Chargers had a really good draft. I think Harbaugh did a great job with that defensive front. I also think the Steelers had a pretty good draft with some of the needs that they had to go around bringing in Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. The team that disappointed me probably the most before we move on is the Raiders. Like, you needed a quarterback, man. You in the AFC with Herbert and Mahomes. Like, you got to have somebody that can wheel it and throw it and keep you in games. I thought they missed out. There wasn't a lot of opportunity to draft when they came to their pick, but I think they should have went with Spencer Rattler. I've been on record saying that I think that Spencer Rattler in the right situation might be a pretty good pro quarterback. But what did you have to lose with what you got right now? So I thought the Raiders kind of missed the point with that one, because you got to have a quarterback in that division.
Yeah. I was looking, and I was hoping that the Raiders picked up Spencer Rattler because, to your point, Rattler has NFL arm talent. His decision making is what has hurt him at Oklahoma and even at South Carolina, even though South Carolina didn't have an offensive line to protect him. So when you speed Spencer Rattler up, he makes mistakes, but that can be coached out of you. But I thought the Raiders should have went with Spencer Rattler. Let me a couple things. I agree with you. Bo Nix, the biggest reach. Bo Nix was a product, and we talk about products of the system. When you watch Oregon's offense, a lot of passes at the line of scrimmage, a lot of passes behind the line of scrimmage, let their athletes get the ball in space and do their thing. So I do think Bo Nix will be the one quarterback that we look back and talk about was a failure. I like Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden Daniels. I think he was a good pick for the Commanders. Ray Blackwell, look. You're being disrespectful now. The Cowboys are America's team. Let me tell you that. But I think the Commanders did have a good draft. Another team that we missed out on, the Arizona Cardinals had a very good draft. They had a very, very, very good draft. Now, you talked about the Eagles. Every year, people say Howie Roseman is doing this great job with the Eagles, and every year they come back to the pack. Look, I think the Redskins did up their profile. The Commanders did up their profile in the NFC East. But that's still going to be the Cowboys. Let me help y'all out. I saw some Cowboy comments, so I'm going to give you a little background on what Dallas did. Wait a minute.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. Give your background on what Dallas did, please.
We took the tackle. Dallas drafted 3 starters.
Who's going to have to switch positions, by the way, because he played on the right side, and they're going to have to switch him in Dallas, and that's a hard move on the professional level, Lee. I know you're going to try to sugarcoat this.
That's not an issue. The guy is 6'8", 325 pounds. His feet look like he's dancing on the stars, right? He's going to be a great addition. We got the big guard who's going to play center for Dallas out of Kansas State. All right. So Dallas is set up very, and what Dallas did that I really, really like, they got bigger in their offense, their defensive front, and they got bigger linebackers. And
Lee, you needed a running back. You needed a running back, and there was plenty of opportunity to draft a service. So you needed a running back. Don't act like Zeke gonna come back in and be your savior, man.
Dallas will be perfectly fine with Ezekiel Elliott as a running back. There's no doubt about that. They got Rico Dowell. They got the Royce Freeman. He's going to do well. The running game, Dallas's running game was subpar because of the offensive line, and they fixed the offensive line.
It's interesting. It's interesting that you keep saying that Dallas is going to be fine, but then you make the underhanded, kind of backhanded comment about the Eagles always falling back into the middle of the pack. But, I mean, if we're being truthful here, out of those two, there's only one that's appeared in the Super Bowl recently There's only one that's won a Super Bowl recently out of those two, and give me the pleasure of telling me which team that was.
Well, I don't remember. I only remember the last Super Bowl. And they didn't make it to the last Super Bowl, so we're all in the same spot. Let me say this about Super Bowls and winning. Look, there's only one winner at the end of the year in the NFL, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. The rest of the teams are in the same boat. But Dallas is going to be fine. We're going to talk more and more about this for the coming weeks. But I love the Cowboys draft because they address areas of need that they needed to get. And look, when you can draft eight players and you get 3 starters out of a draft, you're doing perfect. The Cowboys are going to be fine. The last thing I want to say, Marv, Drake May to the Patriots, that's going to be a colossal failure because
absolutely.
First of all, they don't have the offensive firepower to even help the guy. And I'm still not sold on Drake May. He has the measurables to be a quarterback, but I saw some games where Drake May decision-making was terrible, and everybody wants to come in and make excuses about he didn't have the same talent. Well, every year talent league. He did not play well in certain games. So I think that's going to be a failure. Go ahead, Mark.
We got Bo Nix as Mitchell Trubisky 2.0, and Drake May will be Blake Bortles 2.0. That I'm gonna go on record to say that. There we go. But let's move on because I got to get into this next topic now.
Well, and recycle me, I would read your comment, but that's disrespectful. That's blasphemy. And anybody that talks about the Cowboys, I can't roll with y'all like that. We're going to move on to the next topic. Guys, thank you for all the comments. Continue to comment. We definitely want to get your opinion on this because Marv and I, we're split on this topic. The Colorado Buffaloes. For those of you, the Colorado Buffaloes are back. Deion Sanders doing his thing again with the Colorado Buffaloes. Second year, he increased the Buffaloes win total by 3 games this past year. And he's going into his second year. And if some of you may have heard, there's been some exodus from his team. Some players have left the Colorado program. There's also been some great talent that have been brought in to the Colorado program. Marv, tell me what you think about Colorado, the transfer portal, some of the losses, and where do you think that program is right now? And I definitely want all of our listeners to comment on that. Go ahead, Marv.
Listen, I've always said that I think Deion being successful is good for college football, but Deion got y'all smoking and drinking something that's real good. I need some of it because look, man, I love how you brought up the fact that he improved their win total. Sure, he did, but in the Pac-12 they went 1-8. That's the same thing they went the prior year, correct? I think it was pretty telling that the kid jumped into the transfer portal and said that he wanted to be coached and developed. He didn't want to play for clicks. Right. So I think that's been the biggest thing. The detractors have come out with Deion talking about that it's all show. Right. And listen, I don't know what luggage he got this year. Louis was last year. He brought in 6 new offensive linemen last year.
Absolutely.
All of them are gone. And now he's brought in a whole new offensive line. And anybody who coaches football, and we're going to get Teddy Keaton on here, the head coach of Clark Atlanta, pretty soon. And Miss Sandra AJ, I know you out there and you love Deion, but listen to me right here. Like, nobody who coaches college football will tell you that you can develop an offensive line in an offseason. It doesn't work that way, not on that level. I don't care how talented they are. If you looked at the top 9 draft choice offensive linemen that were drafted this year in the NFL draft, the top 9, only one of them had transferred. They all stayed where they were. Offensive line play, like anything else, needs continuity. It's nonverbal. It is having comfortability with each other. And also another stat that a lot of people don't like to bring up, that Shador was top 25 in time to get passes off. So as great as we think that he is, a lot of what happened last year fell on his shoulders a lot too. Because hey, I'm a numbers dude. Numbers don't lie, right? He was top 25. He was top 25 nationally in rate of getting passes off. He was in the bottom half of 25 in college football and doing that, right? And I know you want to say it's because he was running for his life. Well, maybe if you get the ball out and you make quicker reads, maybe you're not running for your life, right? So he also lost 17 players in 1 week. Are we going to talk about that? It's more about, it's not about the players that you lose. It's about the ability to retain. So It's not about, so I know what your argument's going to be. Well, he replaced them with better players. It's not about replacing with better players. What it's about is establishing depth and identity. It's about keeping guys in a program for more than 1 year to develop a culture. So that's what wins games more than anything. Depth, identity, especially when you get to big boy football. Why is the SEC so dominant? Because they got so much depth, right? You know, football league, you know that's very, very important. So we're gonna be looking at the same product on the field when it comes to Colorado. You're gonna have all your nice shiny toys. You're gonna have Shador and Travis and Dion with the word salad and the verbal, slickness that he kind of comes with. He's gonna have all you believe in that he's gonna make this team into something better than it was last year. But the bottom line is that he's run this franchise. I'm gonna call it a franchise because this is what he says, like NFL free agency. And we all know that free agency doesn't build cultures. It doesn't build champions. Drafting and homegrown talent does, right? That's why Kansas City's been so good in the NFL, because a lot of homegrown talent that they've developed, and you plug holes with free agency. You don't develop culture with free agency, and that's what he's trying to do. So I guess it's Louis 2.0, but you might as well go to TJ Maxx and pick up some of that luggage because that's about what he got.
Oh yeah, I love it, Marv. Thank you. I love it how you set the stage. I'm gonna read some of these comments. Recycle me. That kid that transferred because he didn't want to stop smoking the weed. Good.
I mean, weed is legal in Colorado, so that let's just be real about it. He can smoke it in Colorado.
Dr. O said it was telling that the kid said that he wanted to be coached. Dr. O came back, also said, Lee, don't disagree. You know that you can't build an offensive line in the offseason. Let's wait and see, improve it. Let me say this. A couple things about what you said that really tickled me. First of all, the only person that Colorado lost that was a difference maker was Dylan Edwards. That was the only one.
You're missing the point, Lee.
No, well, I'm going to get to your point because okay. But the only person that they lost was Dylan. No, Alton McCaskill too. I'll give McCaskill because McCaskill was going to be good. Those are the only two players they lost. The rest of the players were backups. All of them were backups. Kermani McClain, the kid that you're talking about, that said he didn't want to play for clicks. The guy was not studying film. He was coming to meetings late. On weeks that he was supposed to start, he wouldn't even make the meetings, his position meetings. It was time for him to go. And you know why? Because he was second string. That's why he left. And the reason you can verify that is no big-time program wants him, Marv. No big-time program wants him.
That's because Dion sullied him.
No,
that's
Dion
why.
hasn't said it. The word is out on Kermani. That's why.
You know why the word is out? Because it's clickbait nation in Colorado. That's why the word got out, because everything they do is on social media. That's why the word got out. Let's be real. That program not tight.
Now the notion, remember this about their offensive line. All of them transferred during the first window of the portal. So they've all been there through the entire spring. They practiced in spring ball. And
so did the line last year.
The line last year.
So did the 6 offensive linemen. So did he brought those in on. He brought those.
Marv,
they didn't just show up on campus. He bought his Louis. That was his Louis he was talking about. He brought those.
He brought in players that were better than the previous players that was there. But this time, Marv, he brought in players with multiple years of starting experience on the offensive line.
Let me stop you right there, Lee. The 6 offensive linemen he bought in last year, right? His Louis that he bought in last year, they had a combined number of 5,924 snaps in college football. That's a lot of freaking snaps. Let's not act like the kids he bought in last year weren't seasoned in college football. So don't do that. That you're trying to modify this a little bit. They have plenty of experience.
Thank you, Miss Keaton. Colorado Dion will be fine. Let me say this, Marv. You look at the talent level, the size, the girth that offensive line that they have now, and you see that they're going to be one of the most formidable teams in the Big 12. I fully expect Colorado to win the Big 12. They picked up 2 big-time running backs. They've got two
You mean the
more.
kid that couldn't see the field at Ohio State?
The kid had 600 and some yards at Ohio State.
And then he got benched for 2 years because he couldn't see the field.
He will be a star at Colorado. He's 6 feet, 215 pounds. The offensive, they picked up 2 more commitments. And the other fallacy about Colorado is this. Yeah, they have some players that are coming in that have 1 year of eligibility, but most of the players that they brought in have multiple years of eligibility left, Mark. He's building a program. He's building a program right in front of our eyes.
Hold on, Lee, stop.
Everybody sees this exit by some players, and you want to jump to the conclusion that you bring in just as many people that is leaving. So
it's not program. It's not program building. What he's doing is trying to build on the fly. There's no culture at Colorado. There's no program that he's built. What has he built? No, this is a real. All you Colorado people who love Deion, what exactly has he built at Colorado? Tell me.
But Marv, he's been there 1 year. I mean, what are you talking about? He's been there 1 year. And what he's building is that Colorado has recruits. He had 2 5-star recruits that just committed over the weekend. Things that's happening at Colorado from a recruiting perspective that have never happened in their existence, Mark.
I got to push back. He's got 7 high school recruits. 7. 7.
I'm talking about for 2025, 2 recruits, a linebacker, the Walker kid, and the safety. Both recruits, they're 5-star recruits. What I'm telling you is, Marv, Deion is in win now mode. So that's why he's using the portal. He's doing a magnificent job and a magical job of being relevant in your second year. He doesn't have the advantages of Alabama with that has stockpiled talent. He's building on the fly to win now and also building a program. So,
but here's my question then. If he's such a great builder of programs, as is kind of what I'm hearing here, and he basically got rid of everybody in that program last year. Everybody left. And he bought in his own talent, right? Mm-hmm. That is your foundational piece, correct? In building any kind of program, you need foundational pieces. And in college football, the most important part of a football program is the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. If you can't win there, then you cannot win in college football. I don't care what your toys look like on the outside. If you can't protect and if you can't stop people, you can't win in college football. Yeah. So he's had an opportunity to develop culture and to develop a program with people that he bought into what he was selling. And he lost pretty much every single one of them because his words were they weren't what he was looking for. Well, what the hell are you looking for, Deion? Is this the group that you're looking for now?
You know what they were, Marv, last year? What they were? The people that he brought in last year, you know what they were? Trash. That's what they were.
But I remember you telling me Alabama guys, Florida State guys.
Every time Shador went back, he was on the ground. They were trash. And you know what he did with the trash? He swept it out and he brought in talent. Big time talent that's going to and by the way, how many players have transferred from Alabama over the last week? We don't hear you say anything about the people that are leaving Alabama's program. They lost 13 people in the spring.
Hold on. That was all before Nick Saban even retired. They lost those under Nick Saban's watch. They lost 2 players under the new coach too. So you talk about retaining talent. You talk about retaining talent. That's how you retain talent.
Let me say
they lost 2 players since Saban is retired.
All of the hate on Deion Sanders is ridiculous.
It's not hate.
Building a program. I love the way he's building it because he's building it to win now and to stockpile talent for the future. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I'm so enjoying it. And Marv, thank you, Mav from LA. It's one of the hottest tickets last year and going to be one of the hottest tickets this year.
The Lakers are one of the hottest tickets, and they've got to get bounced in the first round. I mean, it don't Mav. I love you, dog, but ticket sales and championships are two damn different things. Okay,
Yeah,
so you want to look good on the sideline, go to Colorado. You want Snoop Dogg on the sideline, go to Colorado.
right,
You want
right.
clicks, go to Colorado. Like Suge said, you want somebody dancing all in the video, being in every one of your song, go get on a
I
Puff
like
Daddy
that.
label.
I like
Right, but
that. I like
if you
that.
want to
I
make
like that.
money and if you want to do your real thing, come to Death Row. That's what we looking at right now.
I like that.
Dion is Puff Daddy, pre Puff
I
Daddy,
like
whatever's going on now, not this Puff
that.
Daddy.
Again, you'll see this year how great Colorado will be. They have everything. They have the offensive line now to protect Shedeur Sanders. And the number one thing is Shedeur Sanders will be the best quarterback in college football this year. He will be the best quarterback in college football with the best individual player in college football, Travis Hunter. Colorado is set up for success. Let's go. I'm gonna skip the new rules in college football because I want to get this Caitlin Clark thing in, Marv. The WNBA season is kicking off May 14th. May 14th, WNBA is kicking. The momentum coming from Caitlin Clark's success during the NCAA tournament. Marv, what do you think that's going to entail as she embarks on the WNBA season? Let me give you a few stats. Last year, and I'm gonna give you 2 points of reference, and then I want you to comment on it. Last year, average viewership in the WNBA for their television broadcast was 505,000 people, right? 505,000. A point of reference, the UFL in spring football, their average viewership right now is 906,000, right?
Wow.
So what my question to you is this. Will Caitlin's impact get them to a point where the advertising industry is going to want to pump money into the WNBA to drive that viewership up? Or do you think it's going to be like all of the great players that have entered the WNBA and it's still going to be around 600,000 people in viewership and it's going to stay pretty stagnant? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the tables are set up for the WNBA to be successful, but here's what you need to kind of look at. So their media deal, I think, ends at the end of 2025, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
they're in a perfect situation now to really put themselves in a place to where you can get the WNBA into more households, right? The media deal that they have now is terrible. Like it's really hard to see a WNBA game. So hopefully they can capitalize on that. But you're at a point now, and I know we talked about this before, and I don't want to be too long winded. The WNBA is in their moment right now, the Tiger Woods moment, the Michael Jordan moment, the Venus and Serena moment, where you have somebody who can become a cultural phenomenon for your sport. Like Caitlin is at the top of the pyramid when it comes to the WNBA, and she's bringing all those fans that she had with her because they're going to watch her. So it's going to be very important for the WNBA to capitalize on this in that new media deal and kind of figure out how to maneuver this. Now, the great thing about it is the WNBA had the most viewership that they've ever had last year. Like their viewership numbers were up. They're adding a new franchise, I think, in San Francisco. So they're adding another franchise, which is what we talked about. They got to get some more teams in here, but viewership and box office and ticket sales, that's going to be the telltale sign. And can they capitalize on this? They've got to find a way, and I know this has always been hard for them, but they've got to find a way to modernize their fan acquisition, the way that they approach fans, the way that they pull fans into the WNBA. And if you can't do it right now, and this is 28 years, I think this is going into the 28th season of WNBA. If you can't do it now with not only Caitlin Clark, but all of the other really Cameron Brink, all the other good players that are coming into this league, if you can't do it now, you'll never be able to do it. So the media deal is what I'm really looking forward to see what they do with that.
Marv, are women's college basketball fans necessarily WNBA fans, in your opinion? Or is there
No,
a synergy there, or is it different groups that would
I,
watch
I
a WNBA game compared to a women's college basketball game?
I think
That's
we're
one of the
really, yeah, Ali, that's a great question. It's a great point. I think we're about to find out, right? I
yeah.
think we're about to find out if these two things segue because you have the perfect storm with Caitlin Clark right now. And if anybody can bring those collegiate fans to the WNBA, it's going to be her. She's at, like I said, she's at the top of it right now. So we have to see. I see Mav said the salaries need to catch up fast. Well, salaries can't catch up unless viewership catches up, unless TV
Yeah,
deals
that's the
become
key.
better,
That's the key.
unless box office becomes better. It's all correlated. So, you can't just pay somebody $1 million and your franchise is in the red. It just doesn't work like that. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
The interesting thing, and great points, Marv. The interesting thing is this: ticket sales is great, but they play in a lot of the teams play in smaller venues anyway, Marv. They play in 7,000, 8,000, 10,000 seat arenas. So ticket sales is one thing. Selling out stadiums is one thing. It's gotta grow through viewership, and advertising dollars. That's how you grow a league. And this is the only thing. And I love the WNBA game. I love women's college basketball. But this is the area that I've always said: you start the season May 14th, you play, and then you run up on to some major stuff, Marv. When that and I had a spirited conversation with a friend of mine about this last week. When the NFL training camp starts mid-July, and you start to have those uh, uh, preseason games, because a preseason game, the first preseason game last year, drew 2.3 million people, right? And then they just go up as the weeks go on. And so, yeah, there are some casual fans that are out there, but we know the NFL is king, and that's what they're going up against. Also, the dog days of summer in baseball. That's where they come up on the hardest issues, and that's why advertising dollars are not pumped in. Now, can Caitlin Clark be that generational player? Let's say Caitlin averages 30 points a game, and she's doing her, and she's in her bag, and now it's must-see TV. That's one thing. They're going to absolutely need that, because the leading scorer in the WNBA last year, I think she averaged 23 points. If Caitlin comes in around that, 18 to 20, it'll be a nice novelty story. She'll be a great player, and bringing her talents like the rest of the ladies brought in. That's not going to get that viewership to where advertisers are going to pump that type of money in my opinion. We hope that it does, but that's going to be difficult because you have some monster things in the summer that they compete against. What are your thoughts, Mark?
No, real quick, great points, and I think that this is a space that we need to kind of stay in. Even with our viewers here, we need to watch this space because it's going to be, the WNBA season is right around the corner. It's going to be really telling, but this is a really critical moment for the WNBA. This is
Yeah.
this is their tipping point, so to speak, right? This is, if you can't get it done now with fan engagement, get a good viewership, I mean a media deal, like this is the exact moment that you probably been hoping for since the inception of this league 28 years ago. Like the perfect storm has come. So this is the moment. So let's watch this space and kind of see where they go. I'm really interested. I want it to succeed. I want to see more teams. I want to see, because I love the WNBA game. I think women are very talented. I think the game's a little bit more pure than men in some respects. So I'm interested to see this, and I hope that they succeed. But this is the moment. This is their tipping.
Yeah. You want them to use Caitlin Clark to her fullest, but you also need, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, you need the intensity of what those other players in the WNBA are going to bring against her, to because you need some antagonistic competition. Marv, real quick, because we want to close with this: the Warriors. Where do they go now? We talk about Steph Curry, we talk about Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. Is it over for the Warriors? Is it time to move on? Is it time not to sign Draymond? And is it time to let Klay walk? What should the Warriors do right now? And then I want to jump into the Suns and the Lakers before we get off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think the Warriors have much choice. I think Klay is going to be gone. I think fiscally and it just makes sense for them. I think Wiggins is going to be on the trading block because they got to get younger. Steph is under contract to 25, 26 season. Draymond just signed a 4-year extension. Steve Kerr signed his extension to mirror Steph's contract. So they're in win now mode with those three being the centerpiece. The interesting piece that we want to watch, and I know that they tried this before, is Karl Anthony Towns. He's going to be the interesting piece that I think that you're going to see Golden State make a run at this summer. And it's really going to depend on how well Minnesota does in the playoffs. And it's also going to depend on how much ownership really wants to go over the tax, right? We know that they've been taxed higher than probably any other NBA franchise over the last few years. How much do they really want to go into that tax, and how much do they really want to spend? But unfortunately, it's a business. I think Clay is going to be collateral damage. You're going to see them move on from him. They're going to shop Wiggins. They're going to try to add a couple of more young pieces because they got to get younger. But the core is going to be Draymond, Steph, and Kerr, and they're going to try to add through there.
Yeah. To me, Steph Curry is the only piece I would bring back. The Draymond Green situation and all that comes with him, to me, they need to move on from that. That his presence to me has worn thin, and it's time to go. Clay, we're not going to pay you $25 million. Just can't do it. Like you said, Marv, stay out of the luxury tax. We can't pay Clay. I think you blow it up. You keep Steph. You have some young talent on that team now. Moses, Moody, and Kuminga. Build around those guys. Get rid of those other guys and spend that money elsewhere. Real quickly, the Lakers, if they're eliminated, is it time to? I know D'Lo has to go. Has to go. But Marv, when they said Austin Reeves was untouchable, to me, that was the biggest mistake they ever made. What are your thoughts on the Lakers real quick?
Yeah, here. I mean, in no scenario would you build a franchise behind a 32-year-old and a 40-year-old. That's basically what the Lakers are looking at. You know, I call him street clothes, Anthony Davis, although he wasn't this year. But that's what you're looking at. They're going to lose that unprotected draft choice to the Pelicans because they're going to take that 2025 and move it to the 2025 unprotected pick, the Pelicans, and they're going to, because that's going to be that Cooper Flag draft. That's going to be that Ace Bailey, you know, some of those kids that are kind of coming in. So I think the Pelicans are going to take that pick. What I think you see the Lakers do is maneuver to bring in Trae Young. I think that's really their only option at this point. It's not blow up. They're going to try to make one more run, I think, with LeBron and AD, bring in Trae Young, which I think is going to be a colossal mistake. But that's really the only option that I see them having right now in terms of making another run. But so if you're a Laker fan, you got some sad days ahead. That's all I can tell you.
I think they do too. If I'm the Lakers, Marv, or no, I take that back. If I'm LeBron, I'm trying to either go to Golden State or I'm trying to get to Phoenix. It's over in LA after this year. Yeah. It's over. Let's be real. It's over. It's over. Once they lose to Denver, LeBron, get out of LA. They're never going to grasp you like they did Kobe and Magic and all those guys anyway. Go somewhere else. Build your legacy. Have this last hurrah. It would be great to see him play with Steph Curry. It would be tremendously great. Resign, Chris Paul on a lower deal and go out that way. But I just don't see any way the Lakers stay pat with what they have right now. Guys, it's been a great. Any parting shots, Marv, before we hang up? It's been great show. I've loved it. Other than the fact when you try to downplay my Cowboys, that was ridiculous, and your comments on Colorado way off. But anyway, parting shots.
Time will tell. We will see. Someone made a comment about Candace Parker. I think it's important for us that she announced her retirement. She's been an ambassador for women's basketball for a long time, 16 years. I can remember Candace all the way back to the McDonald's All-American game. She does a great job on TV, phenomenal career, class act. She's a great ambassador for women's basketball. I would have liked to see her this last year with Caitlin in there, but she deserves it. She was a phenomenal player, and I'm really glad that she's able to retire on her terms.
Thank you, Tracy Johnson. Congratulations on Candace Parker's retirement. Definitely left everything on the floor. One of the best. Absolutely, Tracy. Thank you for your comment. I too, Candace, great job. Continue to do the great work that you're doing on TNT. Guys, we appreciate you. It's been a great show. Hey, keep commenting. Marv and I, we both have our own flavor. He's raspberry. I'm great, but it's all good. That's my guy. Keep subscribing. Keep liking us. Keep telling a friend. We'll be back here next Sunday doing it the same way. Want to hear more of your comments and more of your people to join us? I'm Lee Jones. He's the Hall of Famer Marvin Orange. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you next week.